Have you ever heard anyone say, why do I need God? Why do I need Jesus Christ? I have everything. I have health. I have wealth. I have a loving family. I have a great job. I have a big house. I have a big car. I have a big boat. Whatever. Why do I need God? Not a bad question. The answer is in the book because, of course, God anticipated that people just might think that way, and so he has made provision to answer that question. Now, first of all, let's get real. You don't have everything, because one thing you don't have is the guarantee of everlasting life in a glorious paradise. Because even if you are in the prime of life, guess what? You're getting older. I was a point guard in college for 4 years. That's basketball. If you don't know what I'm talking about, why were you pointing? That's rude. Never mind. And I could move. I could play. I could hold my own with some pretty good guys. I can't do it anymore. It breaks my heart that I can't get out there and move like I used to. And you know what? One of these days, I might not be able to walk. I might be in a wheelchair. So might you. If you're 136, you might not be sprinting around your house. Be riding up and down the stairs on one of those rail things. The point is, you're dying. You're going to be all old and shriveled and wrinkled someday, and then you're going to die. And they're going to put you in the ground or burn you or whatever you ask them to do with your body. So you don't have everything. Here's the other thing. Have you ever known of or heard of anyone who had health and lost it, had wealth and lost it, had a family and lost it, had a job and lost it, had a car and lost it, had a boat, had a house and lost it? Of course, it happens all the time. And then they don't have it. So there was a French mathematician once upon a time named Blaise Pascal. Kind of a cool name. I might change my name to Blaise. But in any case, he came up with this thing which is basically called Pascal's wager. And the essence of what he said, as a logical, reasoning, mathematical-minded kind of guy, is that if there's any chance that God exists, you would be nuts not to believe that and live your life accordingly. Because he basically said, if there is no God, but you go with the premise that there is, if there's any kind of evidence, I'm going to get to that in a moment, there's so much evidence of a creator, a designer, it's ridiculous for anybody that's got half a brain or half an eyeball, okay? If there's any possibility, let's say there is no God, but you determine, yes, there is, and I'm going to live my life accordingly and so forth, then you really haven't lost anything. But if there is a God and you decide, nah, there's no God, I'm not going to live my life like that, and it turns out there is a God, then you've lost a lot. Of course, you've lost the relationship with him in this life and in the future life. So Pascal that was pretty good. So it's a kind of a logical conclusion that you're better off. You have, what do you got to lose? You got nothing to lose to believe that there is a God and try to act accordingly and find out what he says about things, but you got everything to lose if there's a God and you determine that there's not. Okay? So, in Romans chapter 1, there are 3 verses, and then I'll go to Acts 14 for 3 more, because these are 2 really cool places in the Word that show us that talk about the witness of creation. Most people call it nature. Then they go to Mother Nature. No. It's called creation. You know why? It didn't happen naturally. It was created. See this watch? It didn't evolve from a bracelet. No one in his right mind would think that. Got a dictionary in your home? Do you think it was caused by an explosion in a print shop? I don't think so. The odds of that are astronomical, to put it mildly. Okay? So, the witness of creation. It says in Romans 1:18, and this is talking about down the road, because the wrath of God isn't being revealed to anyone now. God's not judging people. God's not bringing his wrath on people. I know people say that from pulpits, but that is not what the Word of God says. Someday he will. He will judge through Christ all men. But listen to this. It's been being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their own wickedness. It's not like they just say, nah, I don't want to believe it. They try to crush truth and crush people who believe truth. That's not good. And then God says, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. Verse 20, last verse here. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. In other words, this is what God is saying. The witness of creation. A hummingbird that flies 6,000 miles every year and comes back to the same place. That's rather miraculous. It seemed like there's some design there. Oh my gosh, the human eyeball. Come on. It didn't just happen out of goo or a big bang or all of that. That's insane. And that kind of an idea is promoted by godless and anti-God people who want to be the big cheese. Look at Acts chapter 15, Acts 14, verse 15. Paul and Barnabas had healed a guy, and the pagan believers thought they were gods come down in the form of men. They're sacrificing animals and all this. So these guys ran in there to the crowd and said, yo, chill. We're human beings like you. We're bringing you good news, telling you to turn from these worthless things, these stupid idols you're worshiping. They're useless to the living God who made heaven and earth and the sea and everything in them. A little seahorse with 86 colors on him. That's rather remarkable. A giant whale. That's rather remarkable. Course, life has a designer, for heaven's sake. Anything with design has a designer. Duh. Now listen, verse 16, in the past he let all nations go their own way. In other words, before Christ came and became the crisis to separate wheat from chaff, sheep from goats, believers from unbelievers. Then it says, verse 17, yet God has not left himself without testimony. He has shown kindness by giving you rain from heaven and crops in their seasons. He provides you with plenty of food and fills your hearts with joy. I had a peach the other day that was at its peak. It was perfect. The juice running down. There's nothing like that. Now, you may prefer a perfect apple, a perfect plum, a perfect banana, whatever. Where did those things come from? Little useless seeds. Oh my gosh, if that is not a miracle, I don't know what is. And you are a miracle. What people can do with the minds that God has given them is a miracle. You got a lot of evidence that there's a designer. And so if you want to go with mathematical probabilities and so forth and so on and logic, then you got everything to win and nothing to lose by believing in God. And it is Jesus Christ who crystallizes the invisible God. And there is indisputable historical evidence of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Lots more about all this on our website. If I were you, I'd be a believer.